Coming up on this edition of A Warrior Spirit.
People say, well, how are people going to accept me? People are looking for acceptance. People are looking for validation. People want to be loved. And that's the bottom line, what every single person needs.
And we can take this back to your spiritual warfare, because if I'm just going through life, la-di-da, boo-hoo-hoo, whatever, no one cares. But if I'm awake, if I'm fierce, if I'm empowered, if I'm emboldened, and I want to reach back and help those behind me, somebody on the other side has suddenly woken up and going, oh shit, we have another warrior on the battlefield. We have to fight them harder, and we have to make their life harder so that they'll give up on their mission to helping the others. Because when it becomes hard, many people find reasons to stop. A Warrior Spirit provides a platform for independent voices, professionals, and thought leaders to share their insights, experiences, and perspectives. The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Praxis 33 or its affiliates. Content shared within this program is intended for informational, educational, and inspirational purposes only. While the host and some guests may be professionals or subject matter experts, the information presented is general in nature and should not replace personalized advice from qualified professionals regarding your individual circumstances. By viewing this program, you acknowledge that any decisions or actions taken based on the content are your own responsibility.
I've walked through fire with shadows on my heels. Scars turned to stories that taught me to feel. Lost in the silence, found in the flame. Now wear my battle cry without shame. This isn't the end, it's where I begin. A soul that remembers the fire within.
Welcome back to another episode of A Warrior Spirit, brought to you by Praxis 33. I'm your host, Daryl Snow. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome to the show. And today I have my special guest, Rania Effat. Rania is a certified relationship coach. She's a Reiki practitioner. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's a host of her own podcast, the Healing Train Podcast, and she's an avid change maker. Rania helps women in toxic relationships uncover the abuse, heal from their traumas, and rebuild their lives. So as if she's not busy enough, she decided to join me, and I appreciate that. Rania, thank you for joining me.
Hello, Daryl. Thank you.
So you have quite a litany of things you are and do, but where did your beginning start? I believe you're currently in Canada, but where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I come from an Arabic background, Egyptian background to be exact, and immigrated to Canada when I was a young girl, just hitting my teens. And I grew up here, yes, lived here most of my life. I mean, lived in other countries for some time as well, but yeah, mainly here in Toronto, Canada.
What was it like transitioning from Egypt or Egyptian background to Canadian? Especially young girls are in a transformational state anyway in their teens, early teens. I mean, life in general is a transformation. So what was it like growing up where you started versus in the teens where you ended up?
Lots of transformation, lots of changes, lots of shock, culture shock, we use normally the term. But I think there was more than that for me. There was just a lot of things I guess I didn't know and I was exposed to at that impressionable stage, right? Because it was taboo and not talked about in my culture because that's the norm, right? And yeah, I mean, you're talking an Eastern world versus a Western world. So you could just imagine anyone who understands the difference between the Eastern world, especially the Arabic culture. Now, I come from a Christian background. I know there are people who, under the misconception that most Arabs are following the Islam religion. However, that is incorrect. There is also Christians there. So I come from the Christian denomination. But yeah, I mean, it was different in so many ways, but I found a way. Somehow, some way, I found a way.
In an Islamic nation, we'll predominantly say, being Christian already set you apart. Was it something that you and your family were able to openly embrace, or was it a kind of a shield that you hid behind only in your own home? How did you navigate that kind of? Because I presume, I don't know, I'm a white guy living in the Midwest. I don't know, but I presume that growing up in that area would be a little challenging being a Christian and not in Islam. So how did you and your family navigate that?
So to be honest with you, Daryl, because I was very young, I was not aware of what that dynamic truly looked like. As far as I was concerned as a kid, we're all the same. You know, I had Muslim friends, I had Christian friends. My families had friends also from both, right? So I never felt that there was a segregation of any sort. Now, later, as I grew older, I started to understand that there were challenges that my parents faced. For example, I can just share a very small story. My mom, when she was in her early years, before I even came into the world, she had the opportunity to be a professor in the university where she graduated from. But she believes, again, I mean, there are no facts, but she believes that due to her religion, that she was Christian, not Muslim, she did not get that position because it so happened that they decided for that particular year, instead of taking the top 3, they were going to take only the first, just for that year. Right? I mean, things like that, right? So again, I can't speak for something I never personally experienced, but from my understanding that it is there. There is sometimes the separation between the religions, and it's the adults that experience it, I would say, more than the children.
So did your family migrate to Canada, or did just you? Because I've spoken to other people who've left their birthplace, and sometimes it's just them, and sometimes it's them and their family. So was it you and your family, or just you?
Yes. No, actually, it was my whole family, like, and beyond. You know, we're talking even my grandparents and aunts and uncles and the kids and everybody. So it started by one family at a time. Like one family decided, and then the next one followed, and then the next one followed, and next thing you know, the majority. And it's my mom's side. I'm talking. Most of my mom's side lived here in Canada for and still do. And then at some point, everyone kind of did their own thing. Some went to the States, and and so forth. But my dad's side is still in Egypt.
That's interesting in my life because my wife is Portuguese and her family was the same. One person snuck on a boat to come on over to the U.S. and then establish themselves, and then soon after, the rest of the family by family, migrated over. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Why did your family choose Canada?
I think because it was easy at that time. Um, I believe it was you had to stay 3 years and you become a citizenship. But America, I believe you had to stay 10 years. If I recall, again, I was a child at the time, so I can't remember all the details. But if I could remember correctly, it took shorter time to become a citizen here. Yeah, and maybe also because the first family that decided to came to Canada, so like, well, we might as well all of us be together. If we're all immigrating, we might as well like relocate all of us again legally and everything. So that's how it
So,
worked.
how long did it take you to learn the language and to then feel like you were fitting in? Because again, you came at a younger age where, it's already difficult for young ladies. So, how long did that process take you?
Well, Dara, let me surprise you. I was a smart cookie. Okay.
That does not
I
surprise me.
knew I knew 3 languages.
Wow.
So I had like my whole life I was in Catholic schools, so I knew Arabic, obviously, and I learned English from the very beginning and French. So
Oh,
I
wow.
continued with those. So when I came to Canada, I knew English. It's not like I didn't know. Perhaps it's the being comfortable in speaking it and expressing myself on a daily basis. That was the challenge. But as far as like, I knew my grammar, I knew the structure of the sentence, I knew how to write, like proper essays, I guess, if you could say at that age. But yeah, so I didn't have a difficulty with the language per se. It's just to learn to express myself. And then eventually Arabic started to become like taking a back seat. And all I wanted to do now is speak in English. I even find it difficult now to like speak with someone who doesn't know English, like the older generation, for example. Like I should say, with my grandparents, they didn't really know English. So for me to express myself, to tell them, just to explain something to them so simple, I'd be like, like trying to speak in Arabic in that way. And then the English word would come and I want to tell them, I'm like, wait, what's the translation of that word again? So now I became more English versus the Arabic. But it's interesting. So I didn't really have a hard time with the language.
So what did you struggle with? Because there has to be something that led you to dealing with women in toxic relationships, and people, in my experience, who go into helping others, help them in an area they have experienced or have witnessed and want to change. So, what hardships brought you to this profession that you're currently doing today?
We're jumping like from A to Z here, Daryl. I
I'm
mean,
going to
there's a
get you
lot of
there.
things that happen in between.
Yeah, so fill in the gaps. Let's fill in your gaps.
I mean, it's actually hard to go back and see everything, how it happened from the very beginning. But just briefly, part of the upbringing that I lived caused me to feel like I am not the person that I wanted to be, because there was expectations for me to be a certain individual and to follow the culture that I come from. However, there was a part of me that just wanted to rebel. And I did. I rebelled and I questioned everything that I was taught to believe and to follow. And I went down a path where I wanted to discover who I was and what made me happy. And in that process, I ended up with the wrong, let's say, relationships. Okay. And it just guided me on a path where I needed to figure out who I am and little bit by little bit unlearn and be deconditioned and deprogrammed and to where I am today. And I'm like fast forwarding here. But during that process, yes, I ended up in toxic relationships myself. And when I got out of it and started to do the healing work, that's when I decided that whatever I went through wasn't just for me. It was for me to help others too.
And so this path that you chose, and this sounds like a very familiar path from the tons of people that you and I both speak with. There's something that we are rebelling against, whether it be parents, culture, ideation, whatever. And we go and we try to explore who we are. And sometimes that takes us down the wrong path. We discover what we shouldn't be. What would you say you were rebelling against the most?
Conforming. From a very young age, I had this urge to be free. Free from what exactly I didn't know then. It is now that I understand what I truly needed to be free from. And it's free from the version of me that was created by all the influences in my life, including my upbringing, including the culture, including religion, including just cultural and societal expectations. I needed to be free from all of that. And I've done a lot of work to get to this point where I I kind of feel free now. I do, because nothing ties me anymore. I don't have something I follow. I follow me, right? I follow my heart. I follow my instinct, my gut feeling. I follow what feels right. I know that I am guided by a greater, higher power. And I know we call it different things, the universe, God, divine, whatever you want to call it, to each their own. But I rebelled against, and I know some people may not like what I say here, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't believe in the religious institutions. I don't. I don't. I left it years ago, and I have no intention of ever going back, even though I've been told by different people that I've strayed away, or that I've been brainwashed, or that whatever, all that stuff I'm reading and doing, that's all like changing me and I'm going to hell, right? So I've been told all of those things. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you believe. I came to a point there where I'm like, I'm not going to excuse or defend where I am, because I know that that's my truth, where I stand. And I also understand that that's their truth, where they stand. I'm on my journey, they're on their journey. And that's the same thing I do now with my coaching practice or on my podcast. When I speak, I will share what I know. I will share my story. I will allow my guests to share their story. But at the end of the day, I am not imposing any of those beliefs or knowings or whatever conclusions we've come to on anyone. I leave it up to the individual to decide for themselves, because at the end of the day, we all have sovereignty. We all have choice. And that is what I'm free from. I'm free from following, and I've given myself permission to be my own leader, to lead my own life. And while I'm doing that, Daryl, I take it very seriously, because I feel responsible for the way I show up in the world, because someone is watching. Someone is picking that up on whatever it is I am doing and saying. So I need to be mindful of what I say and what I do.
There's a
Hopefully that
certain
makes sense.
level of, and you use the word freedom a lot, and there is a certain level. I wish that every person could experience that level of freedom, because to live that authentically, where you're just comfortable in your own skin and you're comfortable in your own being, is a state of experience that many miss, because they're so often trying to conform to who they were told they were supposed to be, or who the world told them to be, or who the lies they even told themselves in the mirror of what that was supposed to look like. And to reach your level of I don't give a shit is really, really empowering. And it's really, really special. And I work really hard with my clients to try to get them there as well. I'm still trying to actually attain that full level myself, but it is so rewarding once you do. And I'm just, ecstatic that you have given that gift to yourself, because it's a gift many people don't give. So right now I'm going to give the gift of this short commercial break, and then we're going to dive into how you are actually transforming lives. So we'll be right back.
I make contemporary art about resilience, transformation, and what rises after the storm. Inspired by the desert, my work reflects the strength we all carry, offering a sense of hope and renewal. I'm Tiffany Featherstone, and I invite you to visit tiffanyfeatherstone.com. Use the code WARRIOR for a special listener-only limited time offer of 15% off, and get your tangible reminder of resilience, hope, and becoming.
Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you tuning back in. We're speaking with Rania, and you were in the middle of expressing how you stepped into who you want to be. And you said you said a lot of really wonderful things, but you said a couple that I resonate with. You no longer subscribe to religion, but that doesn't mean you don't have a connection to spirit or God or whatever label wants to be put on it. Am I correct in that?
You're absolutely correct. I just don't believe in a business like. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah,
That's
let's
how it
be
feels
very
like to me.
clear. Most, and again, this is just your and I's opinion, and I've expressed it for 60
Yeah.
years, so I'm still okay expressing it today because I grew up in Catholicism stuff as well. Most religion is a man-made business. I mean, there's a reason the Catholic Church in Rome is one of the most wealthy entities in the world. It's a business. But true connection is a personal relationship wherever you find it. If you find it in a pew listening to someone, great. If you find it in a beach watching the waves, fantastic. If you just find it sitting in your room meditating, perfect. But spiritual connection to a higher self is a personal relationship, and religion tries to turn that into a business. And you will appreciate this. I talked to a guy last year on my show. He grew up in a Catholic church, and he told me that when he grew up, because he's a little older than I am, when he grew up, the priest would actually come every year and sit down with his parents, and they would go over the amount that they were going to give for that coming year, like an accounting session. And I was floored by that, even though I had been in the Catholic Church most of my life at that point. I just couldn't imagine mom making tea and dad sitting in his shirt and tie while we discuss with the preacher how much we're going to give that year. It just blows my mind away. Anyway.
I mean, if I may, Daryl, to just, I know the conversation is not about religion per se, but I just want to add in a few points. There is good and bad in everything. Mm-hmm. And there's a time for everything. So in this day and age where we are, I believe that as humans, species, we have evolved so much, and we're tapping into, I'm just going to use the word, our gifts, because not everybody's on the same level, so let's just use that word. Mm-hmm. That we all have our own gifts where we can be in tune with the God within us, right? Whatever religion you choose to believe in, there is a God within you. Again, I'm being careful with the choice of words I'm using. And that, when you tap into it, you connect to the source itself, God source, whatever you choose to call it. Mm-hmm. Now, the way we pray is just simply the way we express our connection to that God source. So for Christians, we will do the cross sign, right? For Muslims, they will pray to Allah and they will do their traditions. And the Buddhists will do their thing, and the Hindus will do their thing, and so on and so on. And in each thing, there's their own denominations within. It's just a way. It becomes tradition, and then tradition becomes habit, and then it just gets passed down from generation to generation. So you just end up being born in this family. Your family is following this tradition that doesn't even know where it came from, and they're just following it. And it continues on. But what it takes, Daryl, is, I mean, I'm not making myself anything amazing here, but it takes someone like me, in a way, and like yourself, to stop and ask, why am I just following this? What does this really mean to me? And to question, am I really a bad person if I don't go to church on Sunday? Am I gonna go to hell because I didn't do confession or take communion? Like, you understand what I mean? Like, it's all Absolutely. These things that were implanted, seeds that were planted in people's minds that are fear-based, not love-based. Mm-hmm. And when people start to stop and question, is God love or is God fear? Is God punishment? Is it all about punishment here? Or is it about truly just being enwrapped in God's love? And what does God really mean to you, right? To this day, Daryl, I have no problem going and sitting inside of a church by myself. Mm-hmm. I'm not against the church.
No.
at all. I'm against what happens afterwards and
Hmm.
all that. Again, I don't want to make this about a religious talk, but I just wanted to say that every person has the choice to decide for themselves the good they want to take out of it and what doesn't resonate with them, to question, to step back and do what suits them, not just follow because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's where I think that the discussion, even though this isn't a religious discussion, I think it's a vital part of how you navigated to where you are right now, because you questioned what you were being told. You questioned what was happening in your life. And even when you were in those toxic relationships, something questioned, is this really what I'm supposed to do? And if it's not what I'm supposed to do, is it really what my fellow human, especially female, is supposed to be living? No, it's not. So you took yourself out of those situations and you changed your circumstance because you were willing to question what was going on around you. So when you found yourself in this toxic life and then you got yourself out, what within you reached back to help these women that you're helping now?
We're all connected, Daryl. I'm her, she's me, and even he is me. Because there's also men who end up in toxic relationships too. It's not just women. I just focus on women because that's where I can relate.
Right.
Right? There is the domestic violence. There's the abuses. Usually, I mean, sorry, you're a man, and I'm talking here, but like a lot of times it is the men that end up laying their hands on the women. It is very rare when you'll find a woman beating up a man, simply because we've been again told to believe, and it is somewhat factual, that a man physically is stronger than the woman, so he can dominate her physically. It's simple. He's stronger, and that's hands down. That's the way we are built, right? So when he is using his physical strength to threaten, to bully, to control, to manipulate, to whatever, right? Because of whatever sickness that he's dealing with. Because at the end of the day, he's just an unhealed person going through whatever it is, and he's projecting it or taking it out on her. So I can relate to that, and that's the woman I'm helping. I understand to some degree, because I'm never gonna say I know exactly what each person is dealing with, because everyone has their own story, their own dynamic, and no two stories are the same. But generally speaking, it stems from lack of self-worth, lack of confidence, just learning to believe in whatever you've been told, conforming again, being scared, fear to question, fear to stand up, fear to speak up, fear of everything, right? And it goes from religions to parents to society. You're afraid that you're not going to fit in. People say, well, how are people going to accept me? People are looking for acceptance. People are looking for validation. People want to be loved. And that's the bottom line, what every single person needs, right? So we end up staying in these relationships, taking it upon ourselves to fix the relationship, change ourselves, please the other person, do whatever they want, just because we want what? Love, acceptance, validation.
And I
But it
think that's
doesn't happen with those
universal. I
dynamics.
think in all of the traumas, and I built this program to give the voice to the voiceless, to help turn their mess into their message and make it a survival guide for others. And I don't think there's anything unique about our traumas. I think the circumstances may be to degrees worse or better, but all of us have something we've come through. And so, do we stay in that thing and just play the pity party? Or do we find a way, find people like you to help us through that so that we can step into who we're supposed to be. And that's what I love about what you do. And your your logo, R2R coaching, a happier you. I mean, everything about this logo, the heart, the butterfly, a happier you, it says, let's move to the better version, the heart-centered version of who you're supposed to be. Can you describe R2R for me?
Daryl, I'm floored by how you took my logo and described it the way you did. It's a different spin for sure. I kind of designed this logo. I had someone, of course, finalize it for me, but the idea was mine. And of course, with the butterfly, as everybody understands, it's the becoming, it's the transformation, right? Like you're in your cocoon, you're the caterpillar, and then you just all of a sudden you grow and you become this beautiful thing, and you're just bright and shining, and then you're free, and then you fly away. So R2R stands for ready to rise. Ready to rise. And that's also why I call myself Rania the Rising Coach. I gave myself that title. I kind of like it.
Yeah, ready to rise. I love that. You know,
It's about rising.
the butterfly is a beautiful analogy of transformation.
Mm.
And the when I've used that as a transformation, there's many aspects to it, and I love that you are allowing the beauty of the wings to help carry you up and ready to rise. But you said you have this quote here: when you're healed and empowered, you embody your authentic self fearlessly and fiercely. Describe this because it's very powerful.
You've been doing some digging there. Wow, you're surprising me. Yes, I actually wrote that, I want to say 3 years, either 2 years ago or 3 years ago, something like that. And it just hit me. It just hit me one time when I realized that all it takes is us healing ourselves. And when we become healed, then we become empowered. It's all like a chain effect. First, you got to work on your healing. When you work on your healing, all of a sudden you feel like, hey, I'm not that broken anymore. So then you feel the power in you. But then what happens after that? If you just do a little bit of healing and find that power, but don't embody it, don't become it, don't live it day in and day out the way you need to be, then it's like you stopped halfway. So then when you embody your true self, who you truly are, not the one you're supposed to show your family, your culture, the society, the real you, and not be afraid to show it fearlessly without being scared of who you are. Just be who you are. And fiercely is simply just a way of like, not aggressively. See, there's a difference between fiercely and aggressively, but when you're being fierce, you're like, I'm here, damn it. Like, watch me. I'm right here.
There's a true power in that. And when I can relate to that because when I created Praxis 33, my 3 pillars are empower, co-create, and transformation or transform. Because I want you to empower yourself to do the work, which is the co-creation for the transformation. So I very much feel connected to what you're talking about because there is a distinction between being fierce and aggressive. Fierceness is a boldness and I don't give a shit attitude. I'm going to do it anyway. It may be scary, may be hard, but I'm going to do it. Nothing's going to stop me. Aggressive is vastly different. So I really connect to that. And then you also have the Healing Train podcast. Describe this.
My baby. This is my little baby. I never knew that I would love podcasting so much, Daryl. And this again was born out of my desire to be of service and to help those who need to heal. And in the process of preparing for the show, I realized that, hey, there are so many things that we need to be talking about and heal from other than just being in toxic relationship and narcissism and all of that. That was like kind of the idea of where it began from, but then I just took it to a whole other level, and I realized, hey, like let's discuss all these subjects, especially controversial subjects, especially having conversations that may raise more questions. And the intent of the podcast is not to give advice. It's about having the conversations with, whether it be I'm talking solo conversation like with the audience, or I have a guest where we're discussing a particular subject and taking it from there. And again, leaving it on the table and letting people decide for themselves. Maybe it's just about planting a seed for them to dig further. Maybe they will learn something, a tip, a tool that they can use in their life today. I like to leave my audience usually with a practical tip from my guest of whatever it is that we're discussing that they can use right now. Because so many times we are talking with coaches, therapists, whoever it is that we're talking to in a profession. And a lot of people don't have the finances to go and get that professional help. And that's why I use my show with whatever, I guess, this discussion we're talking about, to leave a tip that they can use without having to go if they are in a financial situation that they can't.
So how long have you been doing your show?
Oh my God, Daryl, it's coming to a year now. I mean, as the time
Nice.
we're recording our show right now, it's hitting a year. So I'm
That's
very, very
excellent.
happy.
That's
Yeah.
very good. That's perfect. And in that year, what's been your favorite taboo topic to talk about?
Sex.
Sex. Really? Yeah. It's amazing how that is still, it's 2026. Sex is everywhere in our world, yet it's still hard to talk about and a taboo subject for many. Why do you think that is?
I had a hard time, Daryl.
You
I
think
had a hard time knowing that I'm sitting in front of the camera and I'm having this discussion. Like, I'm comfortable talking about it, but me knowing that the whole world is going to watch me and this is going to be online forever. Like, once you put it up, that's it. It's done, right? It's other forever. And I am talking about this. So there is a part of me, there's a tiny little part of me, because again, I'm still healing, right? Like, I'm not like 100%, even though I'm saying I'm fearless and I'm bold and that doesn't mean that there are still layers in there that I gotta overcome myself. And I'm okay totally admitting that, because I'm human. I'm human at the end of the day. I'm not Superwoman, right? But I still have that little thing in me. It's like, oh my God, what if my family were to watch that and listen to me talk about sex and orgasm? And I'm okay. I don't want to say any more terms because it's your show. I'm respecting your show. But I mean, like, I use
Listen,
these terms.
my show is an adult show, and we have talked about everything and anything. So, sex and orgasms should be like
Appropriate.
highlighted
Okay.
because listen, we'll take this back to the religion or the
Yeah.
people are taught that sex is bad through their religion. They're taught to have this taboo feeling about it, when in fact it is a thing that God gave us. And so if he gave it to us, it is humans and humanity that perverse it. It is not the sex and the feelings that God created. So there has to be a delineation between the two. And I personally think the more these things are said, talked about, and brought to light, the less taboo they are, and the more they don't plague our society. Listen, I know we're going in a direction we didn't mean to for a second, but I think it's important. Some of the abuse that you're talking about turns out to be sexual abuse. And some of the abuse that you're talking about turns out to be sexual abuse because men predominantly, there have been women who do it. This is not a blanket brush, but men predominantly use sex as power and a tool to dominate whoever they're in front of. And those atrocities that are created are not anything about sex. They're about the act of domination over somebody. But if we bring those subjects to light and we shine our truth on them and bring them so they're no longer taboo, they give less power. And the less power they give, the more healing can occur. And the more healing can occur, the less of those atrocities will happen. So if you have to sit in front of a camera and your parents have to hear that you've had sex, well, surprise, you're an adult. If they get to hear the fact that you've actually enjoyed it by having an orgasm, well, surprise, you're an adult. Like, it's just a subject that is got to be talked about more, not in a sexual way, but in a way that takes the dominance away. My 2 cents, your floor. Sorry. Didn't mean to hijack your
No,
interview.
not at all. I love that. I love that you said that, and I do talk about that in my show. At least in honestly, I think at least 3 or 4 episodes that I've recorded about sex that will be released shortly is in relation to that, what you just said. The patriarchy world we live in. I mean, it's obvious, and the religion factor, the culture factor, all that. I do talk about that, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because that was my intention. Other than, yes, to also show that sex isn't something for us to be afraid of, and it's okay to talk about it, and all the aspects of it, how it affects a relationship, how it affects a marriage. I discuss it in a way where it's educational. I'm not just having a, hey, you want to know how to this please me? It's not about that. I mean, of course, we can always talk about that too. Everything has its own place and time. But my intent has to do, again, with the original theme of my podcast, which is healing.
And you not only are healing the women that you're working with, but you're healing generations beyond that. Because if a parent or a person is healed, they won't pour that on to the generation behind them. And one of the reasons I was in such a abusive relationship as a child is because my mom was in an abusive relationship as a child with her dad and didn't know how to love. She only knew how to be mad and hit. And it took me almost 2 years before her passing for me to even forgive her for what she didn't know, to not have the tools in her toolbox to actually stop the abuse when she could have. So you're healing these women who are then going to heal their children, and their children are both men and women. So that generation will grow up a little more healed and not pass it down to the grandchildren. So what you do is very important if the people are willing to do the work to embrace it and step into their self and stop that generational trauma. So what aspect of the children are you finding is important in your work?
I'm glad that you brought that up, because more and more I'm realizing that it all begins in the early years. The early years are very impressionable, and the more healed, unconscious parents there are, they will start to teach the children the foundation from which they will base their life on. So it begins from there, because children in these days, the way they are being brought up is so different the way we were brought up. The tools that they have available, the AI world, the technology, the gaming, it's a different generation completely right now. And they're learning to compare themselves, and they're learning that this is better than this, and they're learning that I must win. And we are teaching them narcissism. And I'm very sorry that I'm using this term very widely and boldly, but I do feel that a lot of the parenting is not paying attention, that we are raising entitled children who aren't disciplined, who don't know what love is, and don't understand the basic foundation. That hurts me. And this is why I've been working so hard right now on affirmations for children. And I'm trying to get that out there in the world, and I'm trying to find a way how to do it, because there's a lot of challenges for me, Daryl. A lot of challenges, because here I am, someone not with particular backgrounds and credentials, let's say. I'm going to be stopped from having my product out there in the right hands for parents to put those things on their children's walls, for schools to have them on their walls, and to have the books in there, because who am I? And
But
that's
who are
sad. We can
you?
sit here and have this conversation, and I can tell you I have all these tools that are readily available to help the next generation. But as I'm speaking to you, I'm having obstacles and challenges in my way right now to help who I truly want to help.
I believe that those of us who are trying to do those type of changes will find those obstacles no matter what our credentials, because the other side doesn't want us on the playing field. And we can take this back to your spiritual warfare, because if I'm just going through life, la-di-da, boo-hoo-hoo, whatever, no one cares. But if I'm awake, if I'm fierce, if I'm empowered, if I'm emboldened, and I want to reach back and help those behind me, somebody on the other side has suddenly woken up and going, oh shit, we have another warrior on the battlefield. We have to fight them harder, and we have to make their life harder so that they'll give up on their mission to helping the others. Because when it becomes hard, many people find reasons to stop. But if you're truly emboldened and you're truly fierce, whatever those obstacles are, you'll find a way over, through, around, under. It does not matter. But it will be tougher, because now you're on the battlefield. And so I believe that you are finding these challenges because what you are doing is important, and it will make a difference, and it will change lives. So I am not surprised that you're running into all of this. What do you find in today's society? Because when I say the stuff that you just said a few minutes ago about the entitlement and the narcissism and all that, and I see that so blatantly clear. But when I say it, I'm just the curmudgeon-y get off my lawn guy because of my age and being a white male. So when I hear you say it, it brings joy to my heart that yes, I'm not crazy. It's not just me. What do you find is causing the most of this issue?
Well, I believe that there's lack of discipline, number one. And this lack of discipline comes from the fear that comes from high up, where a parent is not allowed to discipline their own child, or else the child has the right to call social services or call the police on their own parents. Like, what's that? Like, now, I understand that parenting is difficult, and I'm going to sit here and make it very clear. I am not a parent myself now, but I was a co-parent in my previous relationships and marriages. So I have had dealings with children at different ages, because I know that's what people say. Well, you're not a parent. You don't know what you're talking about. So here I am saying it straight up. Currently, I am not a parent, but I did have a parenting role. Let's get that out of the way. Second, see, fiercely and boldly. That's Rania for you.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Secondly, when parents are so busy with their lives, caught up to pay the bills and the life cycle of what they're supposed to do, right? And focusing on providing financial needs and stability, rather than actually spending time with the children to understand them and to educate them and to monitor what is school actually teaching them, what is happening in their life, what's happening with their friends, that the new friendships that they're getting into. The parent role isn't there anymore in all cultures, in all countries, because the society is built on that now, where both parents have to go work, so they don't have enough time to give to the children. Then comes in what I mentioned earlier, the fear from government and all of that, where it's like parents are scared to to discipline their child. Now you go to a supermarket, Daryl, and you'll see a child, temper tantrum on the floor, and you're like, oh my God. And the parent, whoever they are, mother, father, doesn't matter at this point, they're like, yeah, okay, are you done yet? All right, I'm going now. Whoa. Right?
And I want to be very clear. There's, as someone who was abused as a child, there's a clear distinction between abuse and discipline. And when my mom married my dad disciplined us. My mom abused us. And there was a distinct parenting style of discipline and abuse. So there is a distinction, but I think you're very correct. And parents are afraid to discipline because in today's world, it might be called abuse. Or I think even more to your point, we have become so ingrained on our hamster wheel of grind, we forget to be actively involved in our child's life. If we feed them, if we house them, if we clothe them, if we get them to their soccer game, if we get them to their friend's party and we pick them up and they're doing safe, we've parented. That's bullshit. You have to be actively involved in what they're doing. And one of the reasons I'm still having family dinner every week with my grown children in their 30s is because it gives me a chance to engage with them in what's going on in their life. And even though they're a grown adult, I still get to guide them and parent them in the way that is now productive for where they are in their life. And if we take that away, if we lose that, it's the chaos we find.
Yes. There is a high, I want to bring this in, Daryl, because it's weighing on my heart. There's a high rate of, I want to say children, teens, teenagers, like we're in a very impressionable stage where they will take their own life. And the parents may not even know what was going on in their life, that now they're waking up and their child is gone. This is the pandemic that we are dealing with, that parents don't even know what's truly going on in their child's life because, I can't, this is their privacy at the age of 12. They have a phone in which they can access anything they want. Everything is readily available. I mean, and again, I don't want to put I'm not blaming parents. I don't want this to be like mistaken that I am sitting here saying parents don't know what they're doing. I'm saying it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of the education system and parenting and whatever governing bodies that are making these laws and rules that are causing parents to be scared to discipline their children because they're scared that their children will be taken away from them because of whatever discipline that they can do. It's like we've come to a point where a governing body is telling you what you can and cannot do in your own home with your own family. That's what we've come down to, Daryl. And we've come to a point where schools are giving the children the okay to keep secrets from their family, saying it's their right to choose. Like, are you kidding me?
And
this is what we
I totally agree with all of that. So if someone came to you and they said, Rania, you're talking to me. You're describing my life. What can I do to make the change? How can I move closer to the love and less from the fear? What advice do you give those folks who just don't know? What's your one tip?
The first thing is to be aware, Daryl. Nothing can ever change without awareness. Once you become aware of what you're doing, not doing, saying, not saying, it's the awareness. And then confront yourself with it. You're like, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm not doing that. Once you become aware, Daryl, that is the beginning of everything. Without it, nothing can move forward. But then once you become aware, remember how when you allowed me to explain my quote earlier, it's just the healing, then the empowerment, then the embodiment. There has to be a step. There has to be a process. So the awareness is the first step. The second step is take action. Once you become aware, the empowered part now is to take action. What action that is for each, they have to decide what that action is. It could just be them reading. It could just be them like teaching themselves, or they can go to professional help, but take some action. And then after taking the action is the practicing now, which is the embodiment. You're going to start shifting your behavior. You're going to start replacing bad habits with better habits. Maybe words that you used to say, negative words that you used to repeating, you're now going to refrain from that. And that's where my affirmation lines come in, where, you know, it's not just bogus words that you're just repeating, blah, 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 blah. I am this, I am that. No, you are actually reprogramming yourself to becoming that better version of yourself that you want to be and don't know how to be. It begins from there.
I love that.
Sorry, I said more than one. You said one tip,
No,
and I just went along, but I had to.
I love. I'll let you talk for hours. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want Rania to be known for when it's all said and done? Not currently, but your legacy.
I don't know if you would believe me, but I think you will believe me that when I was a child, I used to say, the name of Rania is going to be known. I don't know how, but I just know it will be. And that's me as a child. And I kept growing with that idea, thinking that I'm not just going to be another person that came through life and gone and would be forgotten. I don't know what it is, Daryl. I have no idea. I wish I knew. But there's something inside me that feels that it's not so much my name, because the name is just a given name, and this body is just a human body, a vessel that I'm just using. And it's my soul and my spirit that's doing the work here on this planet in this particular time. I know in my heart that I am making a difference right now because I've already taken the step to show up the way that I do. I'm already in it. I'm right on the battlefield, as you said. I am warrioring it through, right? So could it be through the podcasting? Could it be through the books that I'm writing? Could it be through the speaking events where I stand on stage and maybe one person will listen? Could it be through my one-on-one coaching? Could it be through my workshops? Yes, I am involving myself in so many things. I'm not just strict to one thing. I'm not an expert in anything. And I came up with this new word. I'm a Jackie of all trades.
Nice.
Not a Jack of all
Yes.
trades. Master of none. I'm like, I'm a Jackie.
I love it.
the female version. I'm not an expert in anything, and I don't believe that anyone can be an expert. It's all a lie. We tell ourselves that. They tell you, show yourself as the expert in this and the expert. I am not an expert. I'd be lying to myself and to you if I said I'm an expert, because that means if I'm an expert, then there's no more for me to learn. But there's always something for me to learn. I can always be better. I can always change and make a difference in a different way. And if there's any legacy I want to leave behind, is that to never keep yourself in a box. Never ever feel that you've reached your destination. You're always on that journey until your last breath, until that last moment before you close your eyes. You're always learning and you're always teaching.
Beautiful. And I'm going to give you one last word. I'm going to ask you the question I ask everyone. What does a warrior spirit mean to Rania?
Showing up unapologetically me.
Perfect. And I'm glad that you took time to do that with me today. It's been an honor and a privilege. I love what you do and who you are, and I'm looking forward to watching your podcast continue to grow and our friendship continue to blossom. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it so much for giving me this chance to speak and to have this beautiful conversation with you. Thank you.
Alrighty. And if you'd like to get in touch with Rania, you can do so on her website, r2rcoaching.ca, as well as on her social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course on her podcast. And as always, thank you for joining us on this edition of A Warrior Spirit. We're now on all the major platforms, as well as on Roku via the Prospera TV app and at breakthroughradio.net. So be sure to like or subscribe to catch all the episodes. As always, the journey is sacred, the warrior is you. So remember to be inspired, be empowered, and embrace the spirit of the warrior within.
It's not just about the fight, it's how we rise from it.